Hello and welcome to the last part of our practice test. Last video we stopped at question 25 and we'll pick it up from here, so let's get into question 26. Indicate the box in which each of the following items belongs. So we have to sort between plant and animal cells here. If we look at the structures, I'm pretty sure you can spot at least a few. Some of them might be more difficult. So it definitely goes into plant cells are the cell wall and the chloroplasts. Cell wall gives the plant cell its regular shape and rigidity. That means that irregular shape would probably go to animal cells here. And chloroplasts are the structures where photosynthesis happens. Chloroplasts are a form of plastids, so plastids goes to plant cells as well. And the last one, one or more small vacuoles, goes to animal cells. You may probably have heard of vacuoles in combination with plant cells. However, the vacuoles in plant cells are permanent, large vacuoles. So each plant cell has one permanent, large vacuole in its center, not several of these. So some animal cells do have smaller vacuoles that form and dissolve. So that goes to animal cells. It's irregular shape, one or more small vacuoles for the animal cells, and cell wall, chloroplast, and plastids to the plant cells. 27 and 28. Henry stops at a gas station and buys a cup of coffee that he heats in a microwave oven. He then proceeds on his way, enjoying music on the radio in his car. Some miles down the road, he is involved in a car accident. Paramedics take him to the nearby hospital for a CT scan. What type of radiation will be used during a CT scan? So CT scans are very similar to X-rays, and they use the same type of radiation. They use X-ray radiation. The other forms of radiation are not used in this imaging technique, so it's X-rays. Of all of these types of radiation mentioned in the passage, which one causes the least amount of damage to living tissues and DNA with long-term exposure? This would be the radiation with the lowest amount of energy, and the waves with the lowest amount of energy are the radio waves. So yeah, that would cause least damage. If you think about the electromagnetic spectrum from least energy, longest wavelength toward lowest frequency to shortest wavelength, highest frequency, highest energy. So from radio waves, then come microwaves, then infrared, and the visible light spectrum, then UV light, then X-rays, and then gamma rays. So radio waves are the ones with least energy. While playing hockey, Bree is hit in the leg by a puck. The trainer immediately takes an ice pack at 0 degrees Celsius and places it on the injured leg, which is at 37 degrees Celsius. The incident occurs in an arena with an air temperature of 14 degrees Celsius, which best explains the direction of heat flow in this system. The ice pack transfers coldness to the leg. Not really, no, we're talking about heat. Heat always flows from high to low temperature, or heat always transfers from high to low temperature. So we're looking for something like that, so we already can exclude A. The only direction of heat flow is from the leg to the ice pack. The heat from the leg is transferred to the air and to the ice pack, while heat from the air is transferred to the ice pack. That describes it best due to the three different temperatures that we have. The leg is warmer than the ice pack and the air, so heat transfers from the leg to the ice pack and to the air. The air is warmer than the ice pack, so heat transfers from the air to the ice pack as well. So therefore, B is not correct. Only it says here from the leg to the ice pack. That's not true. It does transfer from the leg to the ice pack, but not only. And the last one is wrong because the air is cooler than the leg, so it's the other way around. So here we have a diagram that shows the Sun, Earth, and Moon system. Which of the following does the diagram show? First quarter, lunar eclipse, new moon, or solar eclipse. We can see in this picture that the moon has moved into the shadow of Earth. So in this position, it should be full moon, but since the moon has moved into the shadow of the Earth, it will be a lunar eclipse. The full moon goes dark for some time until it moves out of the shadow of Earth again. So therefore, this shows a lunar eclipse. Which of the following statements is an opinion rather than a fact? The length of time an eclipse is visible can vary. The phases of the moon occur in a repeated cycle. Certain types of tides are associated with the moon's phases, and a lunar eclipse is more interesting to view than a solar eclipse. So, yeah, this is, I think, pretty obvious. The first three are definitely facts. They tell us specific pieces of information that relate to each other, whereas the last one is an opinion. A lunar eclipse is more interesting to view than a solar eclipse. Well, that is the opinion of a certain person, but might differ for another person. So the correct answer here is D. Okay, for 32 we have a diagram of the water cycle and several letters that show different processes in the water cycle. In the hydrologic cycle shown above, letter A represents the process of, where is A? So we have A here, and we can see that water from the lake goes into the atmosphere and eventually forms clouds. So the process of water going into the air, becoming a gas, is evaporation. So for 33 to 35, both sucrose or sugar and salt will dissolve in water. The temperature of the water determines the amount of each solid that can be dissolved. Once a certain amount of the solute is dissolved in the water becomes saturated, meaning no more of the salt or sugar will dissolve in the solution. So we have our diagram here for sucrose and salt. Sucrose, if we look at the graph, we can see that as the temperature of the water increases in degrees Celsius, the solubility of sucrose increases. Not really linearly, so it's a bit exponential actually. And we can see that the solubility of salt increases a little bit at the beginning, but then it looks like it stays more or less stable. So approximately how many grams of sugar will saturate 100 milliliter of water at 40 degrees Celsius? Okay, this already shows grams per 100 milliliter of water here. So we just look at 40 degrees Celsius. You can see that is this point, and that is 250 grams in 100 milliliter of water. So here and here. And that should be answer D, therefore. 34. Which conclusion can be drawn regarding the data? When the temperature of the water increases, the amount of sucrose that can be dissolved decreases. No, we can see that as we increase, it increases. So it's not A. Increasing the temperature of the water significantly increases the amount of salt that can be dissolved. Not really. We can see it increases a tiny bit, but then it stays more or less constant. So it's not B. When the temperature of the water increases, the amount of sucrose that can be dissolved increases as well. That sounds very good. When the temperature goes up, the amount of sucrose that can dissolve goes up as well. Increasing the temperature of the water by 100% also increases the amount of salt that can be dissolved by 100%. No, that's not true. So we can see that, yeah, as I said earlier, the stays more or less constant here. We see some kind of cladogram here, which shows evolutionary relationship between organisms. Which of the following pairs of animals is most closely related? The opossum, which is here, and the platypus, which is there. Probably not. but let's see. Rat and mouse, that looks very close. Cow and horse. Horse is here, cow is here, so a couple of links away from each other. Monkey and gorilla. So we have the gorilla here together with the chimp, but the monkey is one further step away, so that should definitely be the mouse and the rat. Answer B. 37 and 8, based on the information that we see here. Relative humidity indicates how much moisture is in the air compared to how much moisture the air can hold at that temperature. Generally, the amount of moisture in the air is less than the amount needed to saturate the air. When the air is saturated, the relative humidity will be near 100%. So we have the graph here. We can see humidity in percent, relative humidity shown by the line here on different dates from May 1st to May 8th, and the question is, precipitation is most likely to occur on which day, and that is probably when the humidity is highest, which we can see is around this region here, this block, and we can see this is May 5th. Suppose the temperature was 15 degrees higher on May 8th than originally reported. The relative humidity would decrease. The reason for that is that warm air can hold more water than cold air. So therefore the water, because air particles are further apart at a warmer temperature. Gas expands when the temperature is increased, so there's more space for water, and therefore the relative percentage or relative humidity would decrease. And so one more time, relative humidity indicates how much moisture is in the air compared to how much moisture the air can hold. So the amount of moisture in the air does not change, but since the air is warmer and can hold more moisture, therefore the relative humidity will change and decrease. And the last two questions, and then we are finished with our practice test. Use the following information to answer question 39 and 40. Levers, inclined planes, and pulleys are all examples of simple machines. The lever pivots around a point and is used to move or lift an object by applying force to the opposite end. Which of the following is not an example of a lever? A screw, a fork, scissors, or a crowbar. And the correct answer here is a screw. So screw is not a lever. All others, the fork, the scissors, the crowbar, they are used to move or lift an object by applying a force to the opposite end. The screw does not do that. Which statement is true regarding the lever shown below? The force in the diagram is applied to point B. The fulcrum in the diagram is located at point A. The fulcrum in the diagram is located at point C. The force in the diagram is applied to point A. Okay, that is a bit of a strange question. We don't see any force applied. It's possible to apply a force on C. It's possible to apply a force on A. But the answer that makes most sense is that the fulcrum in this diagram is located at point C. We need to know what a fulcrum is. So the fulcrum is this triangle bit here that shows the turning point of the lever. So it's the point around which the lever is turning. And yeah, this is definitely the fulcrum here. So the correct answer must be C. Yeah, with that we have finished. So I hope I could help you to prepare for your GED science test a little bit, and that you've learned something in this practice test, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.